Welcome back to JBros channel. In today's session, we are going to learn about identity and access management in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So what is the purpose of this? Every user need to access the cloud resources, but for that we need some of the permissions to access different resources which is available within the cloud, Oracle Cloud. Oracle Cloud consists of all the resources within the compartments. So to access these resources, some of the policies are there. That policies are who are all the people request and what are the necessary request by particular identity to access the resources. So that comprises the policy and who are all the people or the group of people who needs to access the cloud resources or particular specific resources or particular user can access any kind of resources which is available inside the compartments. So for that there is a policy. That policy is a service here that is called as a IAM policy, that is identity and access management. So this is the architecture of the identity and access management. In the slide we need to set up a tenancy setup that consists of identity domain. In this identity domain, user a particular user can be there and particular group of people can access the entire resources or a particular specific resources. For that they have to use the authentication. For authentication, username and password is necessary and API signing key is necessary for that, and then authentication token will be provided for that. So all those things comprises to identity a particular domain in a tenancy setup. With that authentication, they have to access the resources within the compartments. So within the compartments, the particular resources will be there from the OCID. Already we have studied about OCID, that is Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Identity. So with that we can access the resources, but there is a way to do the authentication. That authentication consists of particular policy. That policy we will call that as a principle. That policies are whether I need to allow particular group with the group name to verb. I will explain what is the meaning of verb in the later session, and then what kind of resource type in particular tenancy. So we are identifying the tenancy setup. In case I want some resources from the compartment, that is also we need to provide with the statement allow group, group name, or if you are going to use the particular username which you to verb is here is what kind of resource we are going to access. So verb and then resource type in a particular compartment. If within that compartment itself, if you want to add with fault domain or availability domain, that also we can access with the particular scenario to get the resource. So that should be given in the where condition. So that is also possible with identity access management. Now we are moving with the identity access management with uh, tenancy setup as well as the compartment which creates the different resources, and then within that OCID will be there. Already we have seen all the formats. Now we are moving for what is the meaning of identity provider. So that is a trusted relation with federated identity provider. Group is the who maybe who is going to work that particular application, or administrator who can grant the permission or policy to access or manage the resource, who is going to consume. That is also possible with group. And then user who is going to get the access to particular specific resources, that is authenticated resource. Authenticated user can access the infrastructure as a service from the OCA. That is possible. So user group, user 1, user 2, user 3 can get the access. We all know what is the meaning of policy, what is the meaning of resources, what is the meaning of tenancy, what is the meaning of compartments. With that only IAM will come. Now already we have seen about authentication, authn. Generally in Oracle Cloud we will say that authentication as authn, authorization as auth. So in information security, authentication is abbreviated as the authn and authorization is auth. But these are the looking together as a same content, but it it has a separate concept. So authentication verifies the identity and gives the permission. Authentication determines who are the authentic user to access the resource. So this way auth and auth will differ. Now already I told principles are there. So what are the principles? Principal is an IAM entity that allowed to interact with OCA resources. So IAM user has some permission and group has a few permissions. User can access the specific resources whenever a group of user is there. At least one policy and one permission should be adhered with the tenancy or compartment, because we are thinking user is a separate or single kind of user who is going to access the resource. But if it is a particular group, at least particular within that group, at least one policy with the permission to be identified within the tenancy or compartment there should be there as a principle. So that is the least principle which is necessary for Oracle Cloud. And in case if we are not able to ensure about the safety or security principle which is available in the OCA, instance principles also we can make through the API calls. That is also we can provide for the OCA services, and we need to create the credentials for that. Now we are going to learn about authentication. For the authentication principle, we need the username and password, which is when we need to create and setting up the account for that in the web console. And whenever we are creating that sign up, the first login, we can reset the password. And API signing key. This API signing key, whenever we are going to use our OC API with a command line interface, we have to use that. That keys are RSA key pair only. That will be in a PEM format. The PEM format is the privacy enhanced mail format. Minimum 2048 bit should be there. So that is one of the file format for storing and sending the cryptographic keys certificates, which is the meaning that multiple certificates can be imported as single file. So that way this PEM file format is very useful for creating the RSA key pair. So whenever we need to use the username, password as well as the API signing key. That format also given here, adding the public key. And authentication token, that also we need to provide to access our third-party API which is supported by OCA. So this will be looking like begin dbms underscore cloud dot create credential create underscore credential. So within bracket we need to represent what kind of credential name is necessary for particular object storage credential with the username and then password. So that produces the password will be your authentication token to access or authenticate. Now authorization. Authorization specific various actions an authenticated principal can perform. So authorization is which identifies the user, right? So what kind of user they can access our resources. So it is with that mostly this will be a human readable format only. Particular group name, verb, resource in tenancy, or particular group name, verb, resource in a particular compartment. So this way only policy will be attached to do the authorization.